Hello everyone, I'm Lindsay Satterfield, productivity trainer and coach, and I'm smack dab in the middle of designing my goals for the year. Now, in December, I start thinking about my goals, I start dreaming about my goals, but it's not really till the beginning of January that I sit down and really design my goals for the year. So I wanted to share with you a 5-step process for coming up with your goals for the year. Now, if you've already come up with your goals, wonderful. And this process is still useful because I think you might find it'll elicit maybe some different information that will allow you to either refine your goals or add some new ones, change them. So it's really a useful process to try out. So there are 5 steps to this process, and they are: the first step is see, then select, scribe, strengthen, and sketch. I made them all S's. See, select, scribe, strengthen, and sketch. So we'll begin with see. This is a part of the process of goal setting that often is missed. We miss out on this envisioning possible futures. That's what you're doing. You're seeing into the future. This is an amazing aspect of being human. We're able to project ourselves in time, to basically time travel, to project ourselves in time and look around and imagine and see what it is that is happening in the future, what we want to create in the future, to see, vision. So what you're going to do is you're going to consider all the areas that you want to create goals for. So all the areas of your life, certainly your work or career, maybe it's interests or volunteer work that you have, maybe it is your relationships or your health or finances or your religious or spiritual life, or qualities or skills that you want to cultivate, or lifestyle. So consider all the areas that are important to you and that you want to create goals for. And then you're going to, for each of those areas, you're going to project yourself into the future. It's December 31st, and you're going to look around. What do you see? Just brainstorm this. What do I see? What results are there? What has changed? What's different? What achievements have I had? How do I feel? All of those things you're going to be looking around and brainstorming. So brainstorming means no editing, no refining, just whatever comes to mind, just more and more. And when you get stuck, just say, what else? What else? The brain is this idea generating machine. And it will generate lots of options. Some of them may be wild or wacky. It doesn't matter. Those are all going to give you clues for the next part of the goal setting process. So really let your imagination soar, let it be free, let it come up with whatever it is that you see. It doesn't matter if you think it's unrealistic or crazy. Just allow yourself to see it. And you can do this in a variety of ways. If you're very visual, you might draw it. You might, if you're more of a writer, you might create a narrative about what you see. Really describe it, describe the detail. You might be a list person and just create lists and lists and lists. So as much as you can, just get into this seeing the future. What's possible, different possible futures. You're not coming to any decisions at this point. You're just generating options. I like to consider this as sort of a buffet of optional futures that I can choose from. And that leads us to the next step. The next step is select. So from these possible futures, you're going to select those that you want. Oh, actually, let me go back one step. Once you get in the C, you've done your brainstorming, step back from your brainstorm and take a look at it and just take note, write another list of what you notice about the list. Take note of any themes, anything that you see as being connected, anything that surprises you or scares you or makes you nervous or you think is weird. Just take notes on what you brainstormed in this C. In this step 1C. That just gives you a little bit of an assessment. You start to see some of the connections and what that step in the process may be revealing to you in order to then go to the next step, in which you're going to select goals. So the next step is select. You're going to look at everything that you've created, this beautiful buffet of future options, of optional futures, and you're going to start to select what it is that you want to commit to. What future do you want to commit to in the various areas that you're creating goals for? Now, two things to consider when you are in this selection process. One is there is a good deal of research around the fact that you're more likely to achieve a goal that is more of a stretch than you are to achieve a goal that is easy or is very realistic. So you want to look for things that are stretch and that you aren't sure that you are able to do. Those actually, surprisingly, have a greater likelihood of being accomplished. I think they get our attention. They motivate us in ways that very realistic, easy, doable goals do not. So look for what is more of a stretch. They call those realistic, doable goals low goals. Low goals are not as likely to be accomplished. Another thing to look for is what's called magnetism. So we can take advantage of the neurochemistry of motivation when we look for things that are magnetic to us. In other words, that we care about. So look for goals that you can really get behind, that stand out to you, that inspire you. And if you have, let's say you have a goal that has been handed to you, you know, you've been given it to you in your work, it's part of your work program. You can look at that, and let's say it doesn't inspire you. Look to see how you might redesign or recraft it or reframe it to bring more magnetism to it, to bring more inspiration to you so that it is more magnetic to you. So you want to look at magnetism, and you also want to look at goals that are a bit of a stretch. Those are two things you can start to look at when you're selecting the goals. So you've selected. Once you've selected, then you're going to scribe. Just getting this in. You're going to scribe, and that is basically writing down your goals. Now, when you create a goal, what we're really creating is a new neural pathway. And this is really important. If you just create a goal at the beginning of the year and never look at it or never think about it again, it's very likely going to go away fairly quickly. So one of the first steps in beginning to create this new neural pathway for this goal is handwriting. In fact, in one study that was done, they found that people who hand wrote their goals down had a 42% higher likelihood in actually achieving their goals. So these odds are awesome for just handwriting your goals. So handwrite your goals. That begins this process of this neural pathway. Now you can type up your goals as well because you may want to use a typed version to be a visual reminder. You also want to have your goals where you see them regularly, like every day. You can see them. That starts to reinforce that neural pathway. And what does that do? What that does is it starts to help filter our sensory input in a way that may benefit our achieving the goal. It helps us to make connections, and the stronger that neural connection is, the more likelihood we have of achieving our goal. So the third step, so we have see, select, and then scribe. We're going to write them down and then make sure they're also visible to us. And the way you want to write them is as a result, is something that's measurable that you can see. So if it's a vague goal, like to sort of be better at something, you'll never really know if you've achieved it. So the question to ask when you're crafting your goal is, how will I know that I've accomplished the goal? And that answer will instruct you what you might want to incorporate into your actual goal statement. So you might want to write it as a result, a deliverable, or a measurable change. something like that. So how will I know when I've achieved this goal is a good question to ask when you're writing up your goals. So we have C, we have select, then scribe, and now we get to strengthen. Now, motivation is a really important component of goal achievement. And motivation is not just a fleeting feeling that comes out of nowhere that is completely unpredictable. It actually is a neurochemical process that's part of our survival instinct, motivation. So we want to increase or enhance the likelihood that we can stir our own motivation. And one of the building blocks of this neurochemistry is meaning. Things we care about, as I said earlier, we are more motivated to accomplish things that have purpose or meaning. So for each of your goals in this step, strengthen, for each of your goals, you want to answer the question, why is this important? And you'll get an answer. Why is this important? Now, we're not going to stop with just that first answer, because oftentimes the answer you give is sort of a pat answer. It isn't really what the juice of the matter, the heart of the matter for you. So we're going to do what's called the 5 why technique. And that is continually asking why to each successive answer until you get to the real why for you, the most motivating why for you. So you come up with your goal and you ask yourself, why is this important? You get an answer. Then you ask yourself, and why is that important? Why is that answer important? And you get an answer. And then you ask, and why is that important? And you'll find yourself going deeper and deeper into levels of meaning. Now, for some of you, the 5th one may end up being world peace. A lot of these, if you keep asking why, end up somehow being world peace. Now, that may not be what's most motivating to you, most immediate for you. So find the answer that best motivates you and write that down. So you have the goal, and then you have right underneath that why that's important to you. That's strengthening your goal, increasing the likelihood that you will stay motivated. You will stay on the path. So we have C, select, scribe, strengthen, and then the last one is sketch. And this is really to prepare yourself for planning. So this isn't the planning process, but it's getting yourself ready for that. And what you're going to do in this part is for each of your goals, you're going to brainstorm a list. Again, no editing or refining or deleting. You're just going to brainstorm a list of projects, activities, habits, milestones that will lead you, that are component of achieving your goal. What is something that you need to do in order to achieve your goal? So milestones, deliverables, products, whatever it is, strategies that you need to have in place to move towards your goal. Now, brainstorm a list. You don't have to select these now. So this will be your buffet of options that when you start the planning process, you'll be able to select from. You'll be able to identify the most high leverage activities and tasks and how to sequence them when you create your plan. Right now, we're just sort of getting ready for that. We're creating that buffet of options that you can then use in your planning process. So those are the 5 steps. See the future, see possible futures, then select the goals that you want to focus on, what you want to commit to, the futures you want to commit to. Then scribe, write it down, and make sure that it's measurable, visible. You'll know when you've completed it. And then the next one is strengthen. So know why you're doing it, strengthen it with meaning. And then the last one is sketch. Sketch out the path. What's the possible pathways to getting to your goal? Those are the 5 steps. Now, this process that I just have very quickly gone through with you is part of the Goal Starter Kit that is part of, or the pre-work for, the Power Start program, which begins not March, it begins in January, soon, January 14th. This is a program designed to help people make very substantive progress on their goals for the year by March 31st. So they have kind of a jump start on the year and some momentum building. And we're going to be going over some of the science-backed techniques and tools that will allow you to support you in achieving your goals so that you can really build on that momentum. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'll put a link in the comments below. You can check that out. And I would love to hear if you use this process to, put your comments in the, let me know and put your comments below, and also any questions that you have about it. And if you're willing to share one of your goals for 2019, I would love, love, love to hear it. So you can put that in the comments as well. Have a great day and have fun creating your goals for 2019.